the crowds held their breath. A hush fell over St. Peter's Square. All eyes were fixed on the balcony above. The weight of history hung in the air. A new era was about to dawn on the Catholic Church. News alerts flashed across the globe. Habemus Papam, the ancient proclamation echoed through the centuries. A new pope had been chosen. But this was no ordinary papal election. This time, history was truly being made. For the first time in almost 500 years, the Vicar of Christ hailed from beyond the confines of Europe. The world watched and waited. Inside the hallowed halls of the Sistine Chapel, the fate of the Catholic Church lay in the balance. Cardinals from every corner of the globe had gathered. They were the princes of the Church, entrusted with a sacred duty. The conclave had begun. Days turned into nights. Whispers of speculation and prayer filled the air. The weight of their responsibility was immense. They were choosing the leader of 1.3 billion souls. The eyes of the world were upon them. The tension was palpable. Twice a day the smoke snaked its way from the chimney above the Sistine Chapel. Black smoke, no decision. The wait continued. Then on that fateful day, a plume of white rose into the sky. A collective gasp arose from the crowd in St. Peter's Square. The news spread like wildfire. Church bells pealed. From the Americas to Africa, from Europe to Asia, hearts stirred with anticipation. The world held its breath. Who was the new pope? The doors to the balcony opened. A figure emerged, his face beaming with humility and grace. It was Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, the Archbishop of Manila. The announcement reverberated around the world. Annuncio vobis gaudium magnum, habemus papam, Luis Antonio Cardinal Tagle. Born in the Philippines, Cardinal Tagle's journey had been one of unwavering faith, deep intellect, and profound compassion. A noted theologian, he held a doctorate from the prestigious Pontifical Gregorian University. His rise through the ranks of the Church had been steady. He served as Bishop of Imus before his appointment as Archbishop of Manila. A heart for the people, Tagle's vision for the Church. Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle, often referred to as the Asian Francis, has a vision for the Church that is both profound and deeply rooted in the teachings of Christ. His approach is characterized by a heartfelt connection to the people, especially those who are often overlooked by society. Tagle's vision is not just about the institution of the Church, but about its role in the lives of individuals and communities around the world. But it was his charisma, his genuine warmth, and his unwavering commitment to the poor and marginalized that had endeared him to millions. His ability to connect with people from all walks of life, whether in urban centers or remote villages, has made him a beloved figure. Tagle's interactions are not mere formalities, they are genuine exchanges that reflect his deep empathy and understanding of human suffering and joy. His smile, his touch, and his words have a way of making people feel seen and valued. Known for his humility and accessibility, Cardinal Tagle was a champion of social justice. He has consistently used his platform to advocate for the rights of the oppressed and to call for systemic changes that address the root causes of inequality. His involvement in social justice movements is not just symbolic, it is a testament to his belief that the Church must be an active participant in the fight for a more just and equitable world. Tagle's presence at rallies and his dialogues with young activists highlight his commitment to empowering the next generation to continue this crucial work. He had spoken out against poverty, inequality, and the exploitation of the vulnerable. His speeches and public statements often challenge both the faithful and the broader society to reflect on their responsibilities towards the less fortunate. Tagle's words are not just calls to action, they are reflections of his own lived experiences and his deep theological understanding of the Gospel's call to serve the least among us. His advocacy extends beyond mere rhetoric. It is embodied in his daily actions and his unwavering commitment to living out the principles of social justice. His appointment as prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples had showcased his global vision for the Church. In this role, Tagle has been instrumental in shaping the Church's approach to evangelization in the modern world. He understands that evangelization is not just about spreading doctrine, but about building relationships and fostering a sense of community. Tagle's global vision is one that embraces diversity and seeks to understand and respect the unique cultural context in which the Church operates. His leadership in this area has been marked by a commitment to dialogue, collaboration, and mutual respect. He was a man of deep spirituality, rooted in his devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. This devotion is not just a personal practice, it is a source of strength and inspiration for his ministry. Tagle's spirituality is evident in his approach to leadership, which is characterized by a deep sense of humility and a reliance on prayer. His devotion to the Sacred Heart is a reflection of his desire to model his life and ministry after the compassionate and loving heart of Christ. This spiritual foundation is what sustains him in his work and guides his vision for the church. He believed in a church that was inclusive, compassionate, and outward-looking. For Tagle, the church is not a fortress to be defended, but a home to be open to all. His vision is one of inclusivity, where everyone, regardless of their background or circumstances, is welcomed and valued. Tagle's commitment to inclusivity is evident in his efforts to reach out to marginalized communities and to create spaces where all people can encounter the love and mercy of God. His vision for the church is one that is constantly reaching out, constantly listening, and constantly seeking to serve the needs of the world. Global rejoicing, the world embraces Pope Tagle. The world erupted in celebration. From the slums of Manila to the grand cathedrals of Europe, the faithful rejoiced. Pope Tagle's election was a watershed moment, a testament to the universality of the Catholic Church. World leaders hailed his appointment. Messages of congratulations poured in from heads of state, religious leaders, and people of all faiths. Pope Tagle's election was not just a victory for Catholics, but for all who yearned for a more just and compassionate world. A church renewed, embracing the challenges ahead. The challenges facing the new pope were many, from navigating the complexities of modern society to addressing the deep-rooted issues within the church itself. Pope Tagle had a monumental task ahead of him. His journey was not just about leading a religious institution, but about guiding millions of faithful through a time of significant transformation. The church was grappling with internal divisions, facing external pressures, and seeking to remain relevant in a rapidly changing world. The rise of secularism, the challenges posed by new social norms, and the ever-present need for spiritual guidance made the role of the Pope more crucial than ever. But Pope Tagle's election brought a renewed sense of hope and optimism. His charisma, humility, and deep sense of empathy resonated with people from all walks of life. The faithful saw in him a leader who could bridge the gap between tradition and modernity, someone who could make the Church's teachings relevant in today's context. He had spoken of the need for dialogue, for reconciliation, and for a church that walked hand in hand with the poor and the marginalized. His vision was one of inclusivity, where every voice mattered and every individual was valued. He emphasized the importance of listening, understanding, and working together to build a better future. His papacy promised to be one of outreach, of engagement, and of a renewed commitment to the gospel message of love, compassion, and social justice. Pope Tagle's approach was not just about preaching, but also about practicing what he preached. He led by example, showing the world that true leadership is about service, humility, and unwavering dedication to the well-being of others. His actions spoke louder than words, inspiring countless individuals to follow in his footsteps and make a positive impact in their communities. A legacy of hope. Pope Tagle's vision for the future. The world watched with bated breath as Pope Tagle embarked on his new mission. His election as Pope was seen as a turning point, a moment of profound change and renewal for the Catholic Church. People from all walks of life, from different corners of the globe, looked to him with hope and anticipation. They believed that his leadership would bring about a new era of compassion, inclusivity, and social justice. His papacy promised to be one of transformation, of healing, and of a renewed focus on the peripheries. Pope Tagle emphasized the importance of reaching out to those who had been marginalized and forgotten by society. He visited hospitals, met with community leaders, and spent time in prayer, seeking guidance and strength for the immense task ahead. His actions spoke louder than words, demonstrating his commitment to making a tangible difference in the lives of the most vulnerable. His vision was one of a church that was a beacon of hope, a champion of the poor, and a voice for the voiceless. He believed that the church should be at the forefront of efforts to alleviate poverty and suffering. He spent time with impoverished communities, visited slum areas, and personally distributed aid to those in need. His presence brought comfort and hope to many, reinforcing the idea that the Church was there to support and uplift them. He had spoken of the need for a culture of encounter, a church that reached out to those on the margins, that embraced diversity, and that built bridges of understanding and reconciliation. Pope Tagle believed that true change could only come through genuine human connection and empathy. He hugged children, spoke with refugees, and engaged with diverse groups of people, always listening and learning from their experiences. His approach was one of humility and openness, fostering a sense of unity and solidarity. That embraced diversity and that built bridges of understanding and reconciliation. He participated in interfaith meetings, shook hands with leaders of different religions, and took part in cultural festivals, celebrating the rich tapestry of human experience. His efforts were aimed at breaking down barriers and promoting a spirit of mutual respect and cooperation. Through his actions and words, Pope Tagle inspired countless individuals to work towards a more just and compassionate world, leaving a lasting legacy of hope and unity. A time for unity, a time for action. The election of Pope Tagle was a watershed moment in the history of the Catholic Church, but it was more than just a symbolic victory. It was a call to action, a challenge to embrace the values of compassion, justice, and solidarity. It was a time for unity, a time for healing, and a time for the Church to reclaim its role as a force for good in the world. Please subscribe to our channel History Documentary Hub for more insightful videos and intriguing content.